Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is a beautiful Thursday, November 11th, 2021. I am Andrew Hanson, ready to break down this three-game NBA DFS slate for you. Really looking forward to it. Big, exciting day in sports. We've also got Thursday night football. Looking forward to that. But let's talk NBA here. And with these three games, we have all three road teams involved in a back-to-back. And not very high totals tonight. All three of them are under 220. That's because we have three of the four slowest teams in the NBA, and we have three of the top seven defenses. So we're going to have to grind it out here with some potentially lower scoring games, but we do have some significant value here with some key guys out. And we do have some news that we're going to be following. I'm going to call it at least one major domino in each game that we have to track. But we do have some big clarity in game one because the news just came out that Pascal Siakam is going to sit the second night of Toronto's back-to-back. So let's start right there as Toronto is traveling to Philly after playing in Boston last night. This is the early tip, 7 o'clock Eastern on NBA TV. They do have a doubleheader going tonight. And with Toronto, they are one of the slow teams here. They're 27th. Their offense not clicking yet, 21st in efficiency. Decent defense here at 10th, but we have some real opportunity with Siakam out. The last time he sat, we know the big four here, Van Vliet, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, and OG Anunoby. They're going to get good minutes, even in a back-to-back. Last time Toronto had a back-to-back, Van Vliet played 39, Barnes played 35, and Anunoby played 38. So those three guys are all in play for me on both sites. Trent in play for me more on DraftKings where he's only 5,000 and you get the bonus for three-pointers. 6,300 on FanDuel, not quite as attractive for me tonight. But I really want to zero in on the bigs here because the last time Siakam sat, Achua played 18 minutes and Chris Boucher played 7. Now, why did those guys only play that amount of minutes? Because Kem Birch played that night and he played 30 minutes. But he's also out tonight. I'm recording this at lunchtime here on Thursday. So if that stays as planned, then I think Achua and Boucher have a nice boost here in minutes. I think Achua gets closer to 30 minutes. I think Boucher could be right around 18. So those guys are both in play for me. I lean Achua a little bit because I feel a little bit better about his minutes. And Boucher is just off to a rough start this year. We know that he can really get hot and put up huge numbers when he's hitting threes, getting blocks. But so far this season, he's only 6 for 33 on three-pointers. So Boucher, much more of a GPP option for me here, kind of down the ranks on my list of players today. But Achua is in play, and I would like to get multiple Raptors here because they play a short rotation. And Nurse, of course, will put these guys out there for big minutes, even though it is a back-to-back. Yes, on the other side, we've got Philly, which sounds like strong defense, but they're only 18th on the season, and Embiid is still out. Thibault is still out, who's a terrific defender, and Isaiah Joe. So, Toronto, I think, is in a pretty good spot here in terms of return on investment tonight. I do want to talk about the other guys I think will be in that 8-man rotation for Toronto. It's Delano, Bantan, and Svi Mckay. Both of those guys are in play for me as well. Bantan, more of a GPP play. He's really cheap. He's not a big volume shooter. He's only averaging 12 minutes a game, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. But at minimum price on DraftKings, he's playable. Svi is shooting it well here. He's working on a 50-40-90 season at a very good price on both sites. So those 8 guys I'm really focusing on here. I think Malachi Flynn could see some minutes also, but he's only averaging 4.5 minutes per game. So, I could easily see him playing 12 minutes or less, even though they're shorthanded. So let's get some good exposure to Toronto. On the Philly side, how do we want to run it back here? Well, with Embiid out, we know that the big story has been Drummond. Just massive games, 20 rebounds plus. Now he's priced up like the old Andre Drummond, though. 8,600 on DraftKings, 9,100 on FanDuel. Do we have to play him? No, I don't think we have to. We've got some other stars on this slate. We might want to get in there instead. Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, etc. But I think there's still a pretty good chance he'll make my cash lineup. He's been getting over 50 fantasy points, so you're still looking at about a 6x return if he does it again. He's got a nice size advantage over Achua. So Drummond's squarely in play for me. The big dominoes here with Philly that we want to hear about are Tobias Harris and Seth Curry. Tobias Harris, questionable. Will he come back from the health and safety protocols? Seth Curry sat out the last game with a foot issue. Will he come back? If they sit, then I think we see Shake Milton and Paul Reed start again. And if that's the case, you could consider them. Shake played 42 minutes in the last game. Paul Reed was solid in his 24 minutes. He's a little pricey on FanDuel, though. I'd probably only consider him on DraftKings at 3,800, although he's not my favorite value play here either. Now, if Tobias and Curry are back, I think those guys go back to the bench, Milton and Reed. So they're not really of interest to me anymore. But then you've still got Maxey and Korkmaz to consider. Maxey played really well these last two games. Now he's priced up around 7,000. So a little bit tougher to go there. He's in play. He's probably the safest bet other than Drummond to get the big usage and have a chance to pay off value. But Korkmaz has really been jacking up shots here. 2 for 18 in the last game in 45 minutes. So he's, a factor to consider, but more GPP here because of his volatility. If he hits more of those shots, then he could easily pay off a $5,000 price tag on DraftKings. But if not, then you're not looking very good. So GPP only there, and that's assuming Danny Green comes off the bench again. That's what happened in the last game, 29 minutes. So we'll have that news, of course, since this is the first game. And then Niang, he's been doing pretty well with his minutes, but almost at 5,000 on both sites. He's a little bit harder to get to. He's not one of these ceiling guys who's going to get you over 30 fantasy points very often. So I like the value on Toronto a little bit better, and some guys later in the slate that we'll get to. All right, game number 2. We get to wait until 9 o'clock Eastern for Indiana and Utah. And this is a back-to-back for Indiana. Really tough double here for them. They played in Denver, close game, down to the wire. They lost to Omaha Joe's Nuggets 101-98, and now they have to go and play in Utah. Some more altitude. So tough one here. And Utah favored by 9.5 because of that situation. Highest total on the board here, but only 217. So just 7 points higher than game 1. Game 3 is 213.5. So all really closely clumped together here in terms of totals. With Indiana, the big domino is Karis Levert. What happens with him? He's questionable. Sat out last night, and we saw Justin Holiday get a start, 35 minutes. So I think if Levert comes back and starts, then Holiday goes back to the bench. If Holiday starts, he's a GPP option. He's very cheap, but we know he can lay an egg like last night where he didn't do too much with all those minutes. The 4 starters who I think are pretty secure are Brogdon, Duarte, Sabonis, and Turner. Brogdon and Sabonis did their thing last night. Very solid. And I feel pretty solid about their minutes. We saw in a back-to-back early in the season that they both played low 40s minutes in a back-to-back. It was an overtime game, but I would project them for 36 to 38 minutes most likely. And both playable, but again, tough circumstances. So this Indiana side is not my favorite place to attack tonight. Duarte, minutes were down yesterday, only 2 for 9. His price is up from where he started, so I don't plan to go there. Turner has got that tough matchup against Rudy Gobert. I don't plan to go there. And the bench, the only guy I'm interested in here is TJ McConnell. 5,500 on DraftKings catches my eye. He got 29 minutes last night, almost a double-double. And he kind of reminds me of Jalen Brunson, where no matter what he does coming off the bench, you just never see him get priced above 55, 6,000 on either site. So, this is an opportunity to look there if Levert is out again. Not interested in Lamb, Martin, or Torrey Craig, though. Just not a ton of usage and, GPP only upside for those guys. With Utah, they're sitting pretty here, sitting at home, rested, no back-to-back. Conley and Mitchell. I wouldn't mind getting one of those guards. Try to take advantage of those tired Indiana legs, fairly priced. Conley's in that price range here tonight. That's tough for these guards, the mid 6K range. We've got Maxey from the first game. We've got McConnell right there. And then in the last game, we've got Lowry, Hero, and Reggie Jackson. So that's a key area of the slate that we're going to have to deal with. But I wouldn't mind Conley or Mitchell here. Probably won't go to Rudy Gobert because if I'm in that price range, I think I'll just go with Drummond. Don't see a need to go to Bogdanovich here. Royce O'Neal, 4,500, has my eye a little bit on DraftKings. He didn't start the season very well, but the last 4 games, he's really been trending in the right direction with minutes, usage, production. But again, he's got a little bit of a low floor, so GPP only probably. And then with the Utah bench, Clarkson and Ingles are at really attractive prices, much cheaper than usual. But it makes sense because Ingles, the last 3 games, has been almost non-existent. Clarkson can pay it off. He can really get hot. We know that. But he can be very scoring dependent. And in these games with full health, Conley, Mitchell, and Ingles, gets a lot tougher for Clarkson to smash. So game 2, we need to figure out if Levert is playing. But right now I'm planning to go a little bit light on this game and focus a little bit more on games 1 and game 3. By the way, I will have the full lineups finalized tonight at about 6:30 Eastern. If you want to join us, then join us this afternoon. Jump in before 6 o'clock Eastern to make sure we get you into Discord in time. If you sign up at our website, dfscoachtalk.com, we will send you an email and invite you into our Discord. Grab the 3-day pass or the 5-day pass. If you get the 5-day pass today, you'll get all of our sports all the way through Monday Night Football. And any membership you snag with us, you get all of our sports all the time. So every slate, we're giving out full lineups on FanDuel and Yahoo, the coach's clipboard on DraftKings with core plays and pivots. dfscoachtalk.com to join the party. All right, game 3, we have Miami and the Clippers. And again, all 3 road teams in a back-to-back here. Miami doesn't have to travel far, though. They played the Lakers last night right here in the Staples Center. So they've got the Staples Center back-to-back. Also a close loss down to the wire, just like Indiana. 120 to 117 in OT. And Jimmy Butler went down early with an ankle twist. So he's questionable. And the other injury news here with Miami is that Strus and Markieff Morris are both questionable. That's what I'm marking them down as. They did not play last night. Strus with a knee issue. Markieff dealing with the after effects of the altercation with Jokic. All right, so let's assume that Jimmy Butler is going to be out. We saw big minutes from these key guys last night. Lowry, 47. Duncan Robinson, 45. Hero, 42. And PJ Tucker, 38. How about that? Double-double for PJ Tucker. 10 and 13, stepping up with Butler out. I think we'll get some pretty significant minutes from those guys again. because of the likely short rotation, all these guys out. We know Miami tries to keep their guys in ultra top shape. So you could return to that group. I think that's where the biggest minutes are going to come from. A lot of the shots we've got Bam, of course, to consider. And the thing that we like is that the Clippers on the other side are playing at a good pace this year. They're sixth. It's actually the fastest team on this slate. But the Clippers are second in defensive efficiency, even without Kawhi. So it'll be a good test for these Miami guys. And the price tags are pretty inviting. I mean, let's be honest here. Lowry right around 7,000 or less on both sites. Hero in that low 6K range still. And then you've got Robinson and PJ Tucker in the 3K range as value options. Bam, only 7,400 on DraftKings. I kind of like that price. Good matchup here against Zubats. And we saw, right in that second half, Bam just picked it up with Butler out. Much more involved in the offense, shooting those short jumpers over Anthony Davis. He's big in the stocks, as we know. And then on FanDuel tonight, he's power forward or center eligible. Little pricier there at 82, but he's in play for me for sure. With the bench, not very interested in these guys: Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Dwayne Dedmon. I think those are the three key guys that are going to comprise the rest of this 8-man rotation. And Vincent just doesn't get many shots. Martin is a hustle guy. Maybe if he gets 20 minutes, he gets it done. Dedmon is good per minute, but hard to project him getting more than about 16 minutes. So I'm going to focus on these Miami guys, and assuming Butler is out, I'll probably have at least two of their starters. How about the Clippers side, you ask? Well, the news here is that Ibaka is out. Marcus Morris is still out. So I'm projecting the starting lineup here of Reggie Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, Paul George, Batum, and Zubats. And the two real gunners here, Reggie Jackson and Paul George. Obviously, Paul George, the usage way up with Kawhi out, and you got to pay over 10,000 here for him. So it's an expensive look. But Reggie Jackson is getting up a ton of shots too. Often right around 20 shots. So you could invest in Reggie Jackson and save about $4,000 and get possibly almost as many shots. And it's not a great matchup really for either guy here. Miami is fifth defensively on the season, but they don't have Jimmy Butler. At least that's how we're anticipating things are going to play out. So what does that do for these matchups? Well, Reggie Jackson will have to deal with some Lowry. Paul George, I think he'll most likely see a lot of PJ Tucker. I'm thinking that if Tucker spends time on Paul George, they'll probably just put Duncan Robinson on Batum and then leave Lowry and Hero to guard Reggie and Eric Bledsoe. I do, by the way, think Hero will start. He started the second half with Butler out last night. He has been that sixth man, so maybe they mix it up and bring him off the bench to come in the middle of that first quarter and take over. But in any event, I think he's going to play big minutes. So those are the key matchups we have to look at. Bledsoe probably won't go there. Batum is playable. He's been really solid as a starter here, getting close to 30 minutes. Pretty productive. More of a cash option. Zubats, I don't think I'll go there. And then on the bench, Mann is getting big minutes, so he's somebody you could consider. Kennard getting good minutes, and then Hartenstein is the recipient of those bench minutes with Ibaka out. 3,400 on DraftKings, he could pay that off. 4,000 on FanDuel, a little bit tougher, and not an easy matchup against Dedmon while he's out there. So that's the 3-game slate in 20 minutes. Hope that got you ready for FanDuel and DraftKings. Get your first lineups in, and then circle back before lock with the news to adjust things. We, of course, follow everything throughout the night during the slate and make changes as needed for our members, and we announce those in Discord. So again, jump in with us tonight if you'd like. dfscoachtalk.com to grab a membership. If you have any questions for us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. That's where the team is. And make sure to check out the NFL podcast if you haven't already. Omaha Joe Stanton and I broke that down. Excited about Baltimore and Miami and working through that slate. Going to be heavy on the Ravens tonight. So we'll have those lineups as well. Going to be a great Thursday night. Really looking forward to it. Thank you all for tuning in, and be sure to tune in again tomorrow as Coach comes back for ongoing NBA coverage. We have those podcasts, of course, 7 days a week. Hit that thumbs up if you don't mind on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as I said, we'll be back with some NBA tomorrow. We'll also have the main slate podcast for NFL Friday night. So tune into that. On behalf of the entire DFS Coach Talk team, I'm Andrew Hanson. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time as we look to crush it in DFS.